What's going on, everyone? This is Dustin Stelzer from Journey to Master, and I have another tool to review. This is a combo toolkit with the Tough system that Dewalt makes. So the Tough system is a series of different size cases that they have that are all stackable together. They actually make some kits that you can take little bars and put them up on the wall, and you can hang all of these and stack them from a rack. You can get the dolly system so that you have like a rolling tool case where you can stack all of these different things together. So this is just what these two tools come in. Inside of this case, there is a Sawzall and a circular saw. None of them are the XR series. This is just a standard, non-brushless drill saw kit. So let me open it up and show you what's inside. So we've got a Sawzall. You can tell I've already used it. And the circular saw. And it comes with a charger and two batteries. Again, this isn't the XR set, so there's no, these batteries don't have any of the display on the back that show you what the battery life is. These are kind of just their standard set of tools. This is actually an XR battery. So you can see on the back sides of them, there's a little meter that shows you what the battery life is, but these don't have it, the ones that come with this kit. So this is just a standard kit. So I've gotten to use this. This thing's really powerful. I mean, you can tell, like, it's got a lot of speed, a lot of power behind it. It's a, what is that, 0 to 300 RPMs, essentially. They call it SPM. It's strokes per minute rather than like revolutions per minute that you would have on a saw like that. So on the circular saw, this is actually a 6.5-inch blade. I've got some other saws like this one. This is a 7.25 blade. This is a 60-volt brushless system, so I'm actually going to do a little bit of cutting to see what the difference between the two are. They're the same blade, but this is brushless and it's 60-volt technology. This is not brushless. It's 20 volt. 20 volt I'm also going to take and compare, because I don't have another Dewalt, unfortunately, but I'm going to take this Milwaukee. This is Milwaukee Fuel, so a little bit more stout, but I'm going to see what the differences are between them so you guys can kind of gauge this complete set versus maybe getting something of a higher standard or higher quality. So let me get my stud out. I'm going to do a general purpose Diablo blade in this. This is carbide. So at least we're using a really good blade to cut through. Alright, so this is the Sawzall. I don't see anything wrong with that at all. I'm going to try to cut something metal. I was cutting some rigid conduit. Where did that go? This guy. And one thing that I noticed when I was using that Sawzall to cut through is that the tool kept binding up and it would stop cutting. Whereas the Milwaukee, the Fuel, never did. It just kept going through the whole time. So again, that's a brushless system, and it's Fuel, so it's like their top-of-the-line saw. This is not that, so it's not really a fair comparison, but I at least want to show you cutting through really thick stuff at what level the thermal cutout on this stops, because the tool is going to overheat.
You might want to put a different blade on that. That's a general purpose. Like that's gonna...
You're absolutely right. My man. All right, so let's see how this guy cuts metal. Yeah, so it very quickly, And that's not just the teeth binding up. So I thought that that might be happening. It's just the blade, you know. So took a different tool. Again, this is not completely fair because this is Fuel and it's some of their best stuff. And it's not also Dewalt, which is kind of a dick move, I realize, but I'm sorry. This is just to show that it's not the blade doing that. It's actually the ability for that tool to make it through the material without overheating. So something that's a little bit more powerful, they may have a Sawzall, I just haven't tried, but they may have an XR Sawzall that's a lot heavier duty, that'll cut longer and not have the same cutout issues. So it's not the blade that's making it stop up like that, it's just the saw. This is a little bit lower end saw. Sorry. This is a little bit lower end saw, so for somebody that's doing like professional, you know, work with a Sawzall all day long, every day, that needs like reliable power, I would go with something heavier duty than this specific drill or this specific saw. This is the model number on this is DCS381. It's a variable speed reciprocating saw, but it's just a standard saw. So if you're doing stuff at home around the house, if you're cutting trees, you're cutting wood, you're like building decks or anything like that, really anything with wood, this thing's fine. Or even, as an apprentice, if you're getting into the electrical field or plumbing or HVAC or anything that's in construction, if you don't need something that's professional grade to get through thick, like this is not just regular metal. Like the end of this is 3/16 inch thick. This is rigid electrical conduit. This is some of the thickest stuff that we deal with cutting, but this is like on par with some metal beams and things like that. So again, this is really, really rugged. But I just wanted to show that this has a little bit of a boundary that you're going to come across, whereas something that's an XR that's got longer battery life, that's brushless, that's designed for a professional that's using this all day, every day, that's just not what this is. So it's still very, very good quality. It's, through most of the stuff that you would need a Sawzall for, this is still really badass. It's still a worthwhile buy, especially at the price point of having this and this together in one box with their tough system that they've got. So now I'm going to change over to this. I wish I had a Diablo circular saw blade to show you how it cuts through metal. Unfortunately, I don't have one. It will be arriving. It will be arriving soon. This is a brand new blade on this saw as well, so nothing else is cut through it. No reason why this should not just rip like crazy through this wood. And then I'm also going to take their Flex Volt brushless saw, and I'm going to compare it to this. One thing that I noticed right off the bat too, I got to show this before I do it. Both of these are set up opposing. So one of them's technically right-handed, the other one's left-handed. I don't know if that's the classification, if they actually do that for that reason. That'd be a good thing to find out, I guess. But what I like about this, I call this right-handed because as I'm cutting, I can watch that blade and I can cut through. If I have a line drawn, I can watch the blade. I'm right here. I'm right-handed. With a saw that's set up like this, I have to look around at it, or I have to rely on these lines that are at the front of this to guide me. A lot of people like using the lines as guides. I personally don't. I just feel I've gained a lot of confidence over the years of cutting with these, and I feel comfortable just watching the actual saw blade. I feel like it's more accurate, and it's just what I've trained myself to do. But with this tool, I can look through. There's a little hole right there that I can look through that window and still do the same thing. So it's not like a selling point or a fault in the tool at all. And technically, I think this is designed to be right-hand use because it's got this handle. It's just bizarre that the blade is on the far side of the tool, which this saw I like a lot more. Obviously, it's a 60 volt, it's brushless. But this one, I like that I can actually see what I'm doing. So just one thing I noticed that I like about it. But even so, that's technically not like right-handed or left-handed. But I suppose if you're using the tool with your left hand, you just have better control of this tool to support it with your right hand. you wouldn't really do this. I guess you could. It just doesn't feel as natural. So let's cut with it. This is a 6.5 inch fast wood cutting blade. Cuts, does what it should. Let's compare it to a brushless 60 volt system. Same manufacturer. Make sure my depth on that is, yeah, we're good. So this is a 7.25 inch blade. A little bit bigger blade. Okay, so you can tell the difference. This still does just a fine job of cutting everything that you're going to need to. It's just there's not as much power. This is a 20 volt only tool, and it's going to do everything that you want to do. Again, if you're not doing something like all day every day that's cutting wood and it's just really intensive on cutting wood, or if you're not trying to put metal blades in this and cut through metal like a lot of Diablo's newest carbide blades that they have for their drills, I would probably use this drill over this drill if I was cutting metal with it.
I was saying drill. It's not a drill.
Fuck. I would probably saw with this saw through metal instead of this one. This is something that it's compact in nature, so it's something that you can keep around easily with a package of all the rest of your tools. But it's really wood only. This is something I wouldn't delve into any other materials other than wood, really. But still very good quality, and it's at a really good price point. With something like this, you're going to pay a lot more, A, because it's brushless, B, because it's the flex volt system, so it works off 60 and 20 volts, and C, because it's a 7.25 inch blade on it, whereas that's a 6.5. So the blades are even a little bit cheaper on those other ones. So that's pretty much it. These come together as a set, again, just because they're not brushless, they're not as powerful, they're able to be sold at a lower selling point. They come with this tough system box, so everything comes all together in one kit. It has a charger, it has 3 amp hour batteries that come with it. It's a really good price point, especially if you're an apprentice or if you're somebody that doesn't need like kind of commercial or industrial strength on your tools. These are very good though. I'm going to leave a link in the description below. You guys can click the link, order one of these if you want one. But that's all I got. Thank you guys for watching. Love y'all, and I'll see you in the next tool review.
Can you just tell me why it says John Wick weapon in the back?
It's our brainstorming board, man.
We're going to have some episodes that we're going to do a lot more fun shit with later.
John Wick weapon sounds like
Yeah,
really
you know in that part of the movie where he like pulls out all kinds of different weapons and like uses them all at the same time? Like where he's like training himself and like pulls out weapons and starts shooting things with different guns?
Yeah, he like runs out of ammo and then pulls another thing out and then shoots and then runs out of ammo and pulls a different thing. We're gonna kind of do that with tools. So
And see how much.
that was supposed to be secret, you little asshole.